Hey folks, how you doing? I'd like to share with you some concepts concerning playing over polychords. In this particular example, I'm going to share with you 3-chord movement over an F9 chord. Go ahead and play that real quick. Okay. Those are the chords that's going to be played. Now, what we have here is an F9 in the left hand. That's what I'm playing. So I got the root, the 5, and the 9. And I'm playing in the right hand a 1-5 major 7, which is a C major 7, 1-5 major 7. You don't need to have the major third here because that's really not important. What is important if you're soloing over top of this is establishing a key center. And when I refer to key center, I think in terms of sharps and flats. I don't think of necessarily, C major or F major or C sharp minor or C minor necessarily. I don't really think of the letter name as much as I just think of sharps and flats, because it allows me to perceive of what I'm dealing with, of the notes that I have available, and not restrict myself into a certain ideal based on the letter name, because the letter name does kind of weird things to my head. When someone says G major, I get kind of like I know all the notes that are there, but I'm thinking G major, and I don't really want to do that unless that's what I'm supposed to do. If I'm improvising, I like to think of just notes available, which means all the consonant notes and all the notes in between. Alright, so back to what I was playing here. So C major 7. So this, I'm thinking of no sharps, no flats for the first chord. Alright, I move to the second chord, which in the right hand is a 1-5 major 7, which is F 1-5 major 7. Alright, against the F9 in the left hand. Now that can be also no sharps, no flats, but it also could be 1 flat. Now I'm thinking what's consonant, the immediate scales that are available here. It's not restrictive to this, but it is the ground level or foundation from which I'm looking at this. Okay, so that's what I'm bringing to your attention. In order for it to make sense, I'm trying to make sense here. Alright, so, and then the following chord, this one, that's a B flat, 1-5 major 7. Okay. Again, you could play 1 flat there for that, or you can play 2 flats. So let's look at that. Without the complete chord, let's just hear the notes basically, or not in any particular order, but just within the structure of the scales that would be played over top of this. So, all right. For the next chord, either, and then for the following chord, or yeah. So when you're playing this instrument, when you're playing polychords, you have to have somebody else playing those chords in order to be able to solo over it for it to make any sense. This is from a accompanying perspective, or laying down a track or something like that, where you can play over top of it and just listen for it. If you're playing like a 16-bar movement of this, which allows a lot of displacement as far as rhythmically. A lot of things can occur. The first thing that I think of here is melody. I mean, melody is the most important thing for me, period. And it's like when you're having a conversation with somebody, there has to be some kind of coherency with what you're talking about, otherwise people kind of understand what you're saying. It's like, what is he talking about? He's like just rambling on, And so I'm thinking you create some kind of melodic motif. It doesn't have to be complicated. It's just simple. It's what you go with naturally, whatever feels natural for you as far as phrasing wise, because music is really all about phrasing. And when you're playing it over or with or extending, because that's really what you're doing when you're playing, I'm playing this harmony here, and if I'm playing soloing as it would be, what I'm doing is I'm extending the harmony. It doesn't matter how fast it is or how slow it is, whatever I'm doing, it's really just extending the harmonic structure of the chords. So keep that in mind. So your conversation is with the harmony, along with what's happening rhythmically and what else that might be occurring harmonically within the context of the band or the situation or whatever that you're playing with. So you establish, at least from my perspective, a coherent phrase, a melody, a motif. And then as it builds, you create more complexity within your conversation, which would be chromaticism. In this case, that's the other thing that I would think of next and that would be really taking notes that are outside of the consonant scales that would normally fit over this chord movement, and using ghost notes, not necessarily chromaticism that's creating dissonance, although you may want to do that, but you might not want to do that right away, and then bring that in a little bit later. But when you do introduce chromaticism, it's more of a ghost note type of thing, and then you're just embellishing the phrase. You're playing it, again, it depends on the rhythmic context of what you're playing over. But these are basic ideas that I think are really effective. And there's never really too much that you could say about this, but mostly what's most important is being able to practice it. It's contemplating this. You have a conversation, you need to think about what you're going to say if you're going to have a speech, right? You're going to go off and you're going to communicate to a crowd. Well, if you're going to go off and play, it's important to be able to know what you're going to say so that they can understand your communication. And it really starts with you, specifically, how you relate to it from the beginning. So never be in a hurry with your conversation. Always take your time. So peace, everybody. Hopefully this was helpful to you in some way. Peace. We'll talk to you soon.